Well, welcome back to another episode of Your Kids and Your World and Family Talk. Kidding. Uh,
Kids and family talk.
let's talk about your kids.
Chalk talk.
No, I'm just kidding. All right, somebody has that channel.
Talking about
Not
kids. There's a lot of those.
children, like raising kids and taking care of them. Anyway, I don't ever come across them. The universe is not allowed it.
Today's topic,
Ah, yes.
today's study of focus of
Is it?
study, analytic enthusiasm, placement. I don't know. I'm really bad at rhyming and rapping, I guess. Google.
Ah, yes. Welcome back to another episode of Chalk Talk, where today we're talking about Google. Lots of
Google.
interesting things going on with Google legally.
Yes, indeed.
Have you heard about that? The
Uh,
antitrust laws, Google antitrust laws trial.
I have, I have,
Yeah,
and some other things too, other legal issues in Canada. Did you hear about that?
interesting. Not about Canada, but
Yeah, Canada law, basically, the new draft regulations presented by the Canadian government. We can get into it, but that's another legal
so
issue
the
on Google's
Canadian
forefront.
government, the Canadian and U.S. government.
Yep.
I have this interesting article here. It says U.S. government shutdown won't stop Google antitrust law, judge says. Washington, September 27th, today, this article came out as of this recording. A U.S. trial to determine if Alphabet's Google, Alphabet being the holdings company, broke antitrust laws to protect its search monopoly, will go on even if the U.S. government shuts down, the judge said on Wednesday. Judge Amit Medha, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that wrong, Medha, Mehpa, of the U.S. District Court of the District of Columbia, asked the Justice Department in a court what would happen if Congress failed to reach an agreement to avoid a shutdown and was told lawyers would ask for a stay. If denied, the trial would go on. Send your motion to stay, which I will deny quickly. The discussion came the third week of a more than 2 months trial in which government is seeking to show that Google paid 10 billion a year on revenue share agreements to smartphone makers, wireless carriers, and others who agreed to make its software the default and mainstay its monopoly in search.
So it's
So they're
being
being
sued.
accused of
Yeah, go ahead. I was literally about
that
to ask you this.
10 that they were paying that they paid 10 billion a year based on their revenue to smartphone makers. So like maybe Apple or LG, Samsung, and then wireless carriers. Again, I don't know any specific wireless carriers, but like Verizon, T-Mobile, maybe, etc. But yeah, they're accused of paying 10 billion. That's crazy. Most companies aren't even worth 10 billion. Google has a current market cap of $1.66 trillion dollars.
Mm, yeah, I
But
pulled up
well,
an article about what you're talking about. Yeah, I love how
well,
in this one it says critics say the quality of search results has deteriorated too, as Google used its engine to sell and promote its own products, like Google restaurant reviews instead of those offered by Yelp. So basically, it's like they're being sued for being a monopoly on the market, on the sell market.
in the search, yeah.
It says Google insists that consumers could easily switch their default settings to another search engine. Um, Despite commanding about 90% of the internet search market, Google argues it faces a wide range of competition, ranging from other search engines such as Microsoft's Bing and DuckDuckGo to websites such as Amazon and Yelp, where people research questions about what products to buy or where to eat. Amazon as a search engine? What are you talking about, Google? And DuckDuckGo? You
And
know, I,
Safari, I guess. Well, that's not a search engine, that's a web browser. What else is a search engine?
Yahoo.
Basic attention. At least
Um,
you can get paid for that. And
I mean,
They black
I
out ads.
I think
We
I
should do a
really
basic
want
attention episode.
we should. I agree.
The Brave browser.
We should do it. Why not?
But yeah, well, back to Google. So that's coming in the future. Brave browser, basic attention. Um, yeah, I mean, it's lot of negative news. Let's see what happens in the trial. I don't even know when this trial is due by, but it's definitely not negatively affecting the stock. I can tell you that much.
Because everybody uses Google. People don't say look it up on the internet. They say Google
They
it.
say, yeah, it's a verb. I went from a noun to a verb,
It's a
as I
it's
like to
a
say.
it's a phrasal verb.
Yeah,
Google it.
Google it or Google to use a search.
Yeah, that's
So yeah,
true.
it's crazy. Um, yeah, I mean, it's pretty close to its 52-week high in a really, really, really crappy market. The 52-week high is 139.93. It's up 2%, 2.01% for the day, including after hours, um, at 131.71. It doesn't sound like a lot of money, but for a company that's worth $1.66 trillion dollars,
Hmm.
even 2% is probably somewhere around $35 million dollars was injected in Google today.
Yeah, I don't think this news is hurting Google. And if it is, it's just artificially hurting Google on some other front because I don't think
Yeah,
regular investors care. And I'm pretty sure Google can pay whatever if they get
yeah.
fined, which is it's always a slap in the wrist for these big companies. I'm not saying
I think,
I'm against or for Google in this situation. I'm just saying that regardless of what happens, they're going to get fined and Google it's going to be a slap in the wrist. It's going to be like one of those little bondage bracelets from the 90s.
Brooke Shields, you wear slap bracelets?
Yeah, they're my fave.
Brooke, that's so icy.
You wouldn't catch us anywhere without our slap bracelets. Wear slap bracelets and become our homegirl.
probably, yeah, unless, I don't know, depending on what happens in the court trial, if anything, it'll probably just buy like a decent buying opportunity to buy Google if that's what you're
Yeah.
interested in.
Well, let's talk about
But
this too. Canada news law could cost Google and Meta 4% of revenues. Now, 4% is a large percent. So it says under the
mm,
new law, Meta and Google will have to pay 45 million and 127 million every year, respectively. And it's basically the draft regulations presented by the government state that both Meta and Alphabet would have to pay at least 4% of their annual revenues to Canadian news outlets in exchange for displaying links to news articles. According to the new regulations, tech companies would have to negotiate with news publishers for this voluntarily. The law will cost Meta and Google annually 45 million and 127 million respectively. So
uh,
basically Google and Apple right now are like battling the Canadian government because they're like, we're not giving you any money. What
Meta,
are we
you
gonna
mean
give you
Meta
any
in
money?
Google?
Huh?
Meta in Google?
Yeah, Meta and Google.
Okay, you
Google
just said
and
Apple
Meta.
and Google.
Oh, sorry, yeah. Google and Meta.
You got Apple on the mind.
Well, Apple's always facing legal issues. They
Hmm.
had that huge thing in Brazil that caused them to change their. I'm assuming that's what caused them to change their changing their charging ports, but that's another story. That's another story for
Hmm.
another time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But,
So yeah, it will force tech giants to pay to use their links. And basically, I think this just goes back into the whole like issue going on with ChatGPT right now, where people are upset about their information being, given without their permission. So maybe it's like the same
mhm.
thing. Like Google and Meta are like taking the news without, consent and giving it to their consumers, which in turn, antitrust is stealing their information. So, I don't know.
Mhm.
Google at it again. It's
Yeah.
like, how do you
Well,
take down someone like Google? Is this one
you
of those
don't.
too big to fail situations?
Google's worth almost the entire GDP of France.
Well, there's some facts for you.
Apple is.
Apple is and Google is almost.
Close, very close. I don't know what the next company that would be worth around 1.65 trillion. Um, France GDP is 3 trillion. Google's about 2.7. So they're like a good stock market pop away from being France. Um, I'd have to look it up,
One
but
market
I can
cap
tell you Google,
1.6
yeah, Google is probably
trillion.
Spain and Switzerland together. If you combine their GDPs, is Google. And
I have
then
to look that up.
Apple is basically like France. Yeah, because I'm pretty sure um uh
Okay. Okay. Alphabet
anywho,
1.6 trillion, Spain 1.4 trillion.
okay. So
2020
then
2021. That's
I
what.
was Portugal, I was thinking Portugal has like a 700 billion, I believe, and then Switzerland is the same, so that would be pretty close to 1.6. Yeah, so
Yeah.
basically Google is Spain and Apple is almost France. Basically France. They are Western European countries.
It's crazy when you think about it in that context. I remember teaching a class about investing, and I told my students that Apple's market cap is pretty much a small is like a small country or a couple small countries. And they were like,
Mhm.
"What? That's like a
They're
way like
they're
that's a
first
comparison."
world developed country GDPs. Their market caps are bigger than the majority of countries. There are 205 countries in the world, and I think maybe 15 of them have GDPs over a trillion. Maybe 15, 20 tops.
All those companies get together and just world domination. Well, who's BRICS? What's
Apple,
BRICS?
Google, Microsoft, um, yeah, and I don't know. Oh, Nvidia now they're over a trillion. Uh, well, yeah. So there's a lot of negative news.
Yeah.
And another interesting fact is Google is now 25 years old this month. So
Oh
it's
yes, happy birthday, Google.
Google's birth month. So 25, 26 years ago, Google did not exist. Imagine
People can't conceive that. It's hard to conceive that Google did not
ju-
exist before their conception.
just 25 years and roughly 23 days, 24 days, Google did not exist in the world. That's crazy. Now it's like you have everything. Everybody has Gmail, directions, it's a search bar. They own YouTube. It's so many things. And it's just like people are so dependent on it.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
yeah, other than
yeah. I have
mhm,
more Google News if you're
interesting to say.
interested.
Oh, Google News. Yeah, well, definitely I'm interested.
Okay, so this one is about AI because I just remembered it based off of AI and I have notes here.
Google's Bard.
Yeah, Google AI chatbot Bard into its inner circle, opening door to Gmail, Maps, YouTube. And this was posted on September 19th. So, like I said, I've been saying incorporating AI into everything. And maybe that's why the antitrust lawsuit is like becoming a big thing now because AI, there's so many lawsuits over AI and chat GPT and information stealing. And Google Bard is also in the same boat.
Mhm.
And they're putting AI into everything. I don't remember. Was it in the Dumb Money recording? And I was like, they're scanning your irises on your cell phones.
Mhm.
I mean, that's already and that's not a crazy thing to say because Face ID is an iris scanner. I'm pretty sure Google has your DNA now. Now they have little robots that come out of the phone and just take a little bit of your skin cells when you hold it.
Yeah.
You collect so much DNA on your screens. Wash your phones, people. Clean them. Sanitize them. They are a number one carrier of, well, not number one, but they are a big carrier of E. coli. Do it.
Yeah. Other germs and sicknesses. Um, all right, so a lot of negative news out there, and
Oh
then
yeah, one more. I got one more for you. I got one more for
anything
you.
positive? Anything
No,
positive
it's
on
negative.
Google?
It's negative. Family sues Google, allege the map led a man drive off a bridge. That was September
I heard about that.
21st.
I heard about
So
that.
I was like, wow, Google Maps is now becoming Apple Maps, because everybody knows, even if you have an iPhone, that Apple Maps are trash, and now Google Maps are trash. We need to go back to
Mhm.
MapQuest. We need to print those
Yeah, I
directions.
remember MapQuest. Yeah, I used to do that as a joke.
Get
Pull up
MapQuest,
next to
or
someone.
Google will lead you to your doom.
Yeah. You're like, my MapQuest directions got wet. Can you tell me where Pleasant Street is?
Yo, that must be
Oh
a real life
God.
experience
Right.
for many of us. How what was it? Tell me your age without telling me your age.
Yeah, MapQuest.
Yeah,
You got to
but
be at least 30 years old by now to know MapQuest.
at least 30. I feel like there's a good number of 30-year-olds that have no idea what MapQuest is.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. At least 30. Like, we're the tail end of the generation of being like, oh, yeah, I used MapQuest 16 years ago. That's
Hmm.
like when you first started driving, basically, 16, 17 years ago.
Yeah. Well,
So
the
you got to be at
only
least solid 30, 32, 33. You're at least your early 30s to get the relevance of the of MapQuest back then.
yeah, I remember one time I printed out MapQuest directions to go to a what are those things called? Job career fair. And I ended up at someone's house in the suburbs. I was like, what is this a human error? Is this both?
Hmm.
Is this map and myself? The only
Yeah.
other news I have that might be good, I mean, I think it's good. I mean, I don't know. Antitrust will let us know. Google AI's chatbot, and this is since our last recording on Google. A Google AI's chatbot Bard expands to Europe, Brazil to take on ChatGPT.
Yeah.
So,
I mentioned that in the last episode. Thought they
yeah,
would be getting there at quarter 3 of this year, which now we're in quarter 3.
yeah, and I'm pretty sure they
Um,
expanded to other countries too since then.
yeah,
So,
yeah, and now they're going to be adding languages to it eventually.
as they should,
Um,
they have a legit translator. They have an app dedicated to translating. It should be a standard on
yeah,
every single page.
they're just trying to get everything like exact because, you know, slang, nuances, stuff like that. They want people to be able to use things smoothly because if they say like a word that's not common, they don't want their AI to look bad.
It's funny because people are always like, when you're learning a language and they're like, oh, you use Google Translate? Don't use Google Translate. Don't use
Yeah.
Google Translate. So maybe it's better. Maybe it will get better with AI, hopefully, because some of us are struggling out here with
And
language
other
translation.
languages. Yeah. Someone was supposed to learn Spanish a while ago.
It will happen. It will happen.
Maybe. We'll
Especially if
see.
I plan to live in a Spanish speaking country. If I
I
plan to
even
live
just
in
said,
any country, I'll learn that language. It just is the right thing to do.
I even just said in my head Spanish maybe one day. As soon as you said, yeah, one day, maybe one day.
One day
Yeah,
before my death, I learned Spanish like the day before.
yeah. You have your first conversation.
My dying words are "Buenos dias."
Good morning.
Yeah, because I'm weird, so it fits.
You just wake up to death.
Yes,
Good
exactly.
morning. Oh. Anyway, back to Google. So,
Sorry,
a lot of negative
Google.
sentiment, a lot of negative news, Google, but it's Google's birth month. Google stock is killing it through all the negative sentiment. So, let's get into our stock talk portion
I
of Chalk
know.
Talk.
Stock talk on Chalk Talk.
Stock
Bearish,
talk portion
bearish.
on the
Short and
stock.
midterm for Google. For Alphabet. Yep, on
Yeah.
Yahoo Finance. I'm looking at it right now.
You're on straight into Yahoo Finance, huh?
It's an easy pull up for me. If I go
Mhm.
to Webull, I have to like log in, and then it's like it's Webull. I don't trust them as
Well,
much as I do Yahoo Finance.
yeah. Well, yeah, they always say bearish. Yahoo Finance can be a little brutal. They say everything's bearish. You get a 0% return on nothing.
Well, we know they're
But
conservative, but
I've probably seen like out of 400 stocks that I've probably looked up, I've maybe seen 15 where they have a positive return, maybe 20. All of them, they're like 0%, negative, negative. Johnson and Johnson, negative 15. I think like Qualcomm, Tesla, Google, Tencent, Bristol Myers Squibb, PayPal, and maybe like a handful of others that I've seen have like a positive return on that website. I still use it because they have good numbers, but they're brutal sometimes.
Yeah.
And it's like, geez, like negative 35% return. And then like their 1 year target will be completely different. But anywho,
Yeah. I mean, what
um
do you have for their 1 year target?
the
Did you
Yahoo
pull it up on
Finance.
Webull or did you pull it
So
up on Yahoo
oh,
Finance?
I have multiple sources here. So
Okay.
Yahoo Finance, I have they have a currently they have an 8% ROI, return on investment, with a 1 year target of
Mhm.
$134.35.
Yep.
Then I have some other analyst price targets here, um, based off of 13 other analysts. The with the averages, so they have a strong buy, 46%, strong buy, buy 46% with an 8% hold. Um, the current price targets are a max of $160 with a plus 21.71% return from its current price of 131.80. The average return is also equal to that of Yahoo Finance, plus 82.5%. It seems the overall market sentiment is Google should be about $142 stock, maybe
Okay.
145.
So it's on the high end right
Um,
now. And
yeah, with
it's
the
got a
current
fair value. It looks like Google and Apple are carrying the market. And I find it interesting that
and
that
Microsoft,
Microsoft too. I find it interesting that um they are.
there's
They're oh, the market has been down for the last few days and
if
they're
they have a
okay.
bad day, if one of those companies have like a really bad day, it's going to be the catalyst to turn this bear market into a potential market crash. Like if literally Apple has a negative 15% day, that's like a half $1 trillion.
If Apple has a negative 15% day, the market is on sale. That's what that means. The market is
Apple
on sale.
and Microsoft, the two rivals, equal 18% of the S&P 500.
Yeah. A sale.
So, yeah, and right now, the minimum price target for Google, which I completely agree with, this would be a heavy buy for me, is negative 8.72%, which will put Google at exactly $120, which ironically puts us at our very first Google video, which we came out with on May 17th.
We
It
call them.
opened we opened it that day at 121.61 and closed May 17th at 121.48. The week before that, this was like $110 stock,
Hmm.
$104 stock the week
Yeah.
before that, with a 52 equal of 83.45. So
Yeah.
if you paid attention to the Google I/O video on May 17th, you would have been up $20 a share. Because the
I,
52-week high actually is also this month.
yeah.
139.93 September 1st, the 52-week high, which is 26 days ago, so basically a month ago.
Hmm.
Uh, so
Yeah.
they still,
Almost hit 140, 139.93.
yeah, 139.93, basically $140 is the 52-week high. Um,
Whoa, scalpers were probably having a day today. I don't know. Days range 129.38 to 131.72. That's a
mm,
that's
I'd
pretty good.
rather day trade. I'd
Dollars.
rather day trade like Tesla.
Tesla.
Tesla, just like if you learn Tesla's movements, you can make a killing. There are people who literally have become millionaires just off of trading Tesla.
What did you say that Buffett said? Pick a couple stocks. Was it Buffett?
Oh yeah, like live with six stocks and just trade them, or not really trade them, but like even if you're invested it in the long haul, like take your profit sometimes and then go buy the dip of one of your other ones. If you
Hmm.
just live with six stocks, you'll become a millionaire in 20 years.
Live with six stocks. Easier said than done. You have to have a
Just
certain
know
amount of
those
capital, but
six.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, even if you have $1,000, I mean, $6,000 is still a decent amount of money, but even the average American has $5,500 savings. So I guess if you invested your 5,500 instead of living it sitting in your Bank of America account, I mean, of course you
Wait,
should have a cushion.
you said $5,500? I don't know why I don't believe that.
If the average American savings account is about 5,200, 5,500, it's somewhere in that range. I mean,
Oh
that's a
yeah,
savings
you're
account.
right. It was 5,300 in 2019. Yeah, but that was 2019.
So hell, even if you you don't you don't have to start off with six stocks. You start off with like two.
No,
Start
I
off with a
know.
thousand
I'm just
dollars.
saying, I meant what I actually meant was lower cash. It's a crawl to get to that millionaire status.
Yeah, I mean, my portfolio's been destroyed, but I started with 150 bucks,
Yeah, and it takes time to build up from
and then
smaller
I
numbers.
turned
That's
my
all I'm
my
saying.
hundred my 150 to like 3,600 in like 4 months from being obsessed.
That's true. I saw that. I
And
saw
then I
that.
turned like 36 into 36,000, and I messed up. But I got from 150 to like 36,000 in like 7 months.
You live and you learn. That's all you
No,
can
less
do.
from February 2021 to June 2nd. Or like, yeah, it was like January. Anyway, so yeah, it's like 6 months. But anywho, back to Google. Has interesting numbers. So
Tell me
they're
about them.
expecting they're expecting a very, very, very good earnings report with Google after
Ooh.
releasing a new Google Pixel, after all the new Bard and all the updates and everything that they released in the last I/O. Um, had a very, very good quarter last quarter, and they're expecting another good one after quarters and quarters of very bad numbers. So Google beat its earnings report, but EPS, earnings per share, the last 2 quarters. Other
Okay.
than that, the last 5 quarters have not been good for Google until this last one. But that's when they released all of those products and all of that AI information involving Bard and a couple of new products, and some new technology. If you're curious, you can check it out in our Google episode, I believe it's 3. But anyways, moving forward, this is their first positive return on asset in the last 5 quarters. Not amazing, but plus 869. But when you think about it, plus 869% of billions and trillions of dollars is a lot of money.
Yeah.
Last quarter, they had a plus 11.38% earnings per share. Their net margin was plus 7.23%. Now, mind you, these are all positive after 5 in a row negative earnings reports. They had a positive net income plus 14.79%. Again, after 5 horrible quarters. Um, they had a positive operating income of plus 12.6%.
Hmm.
Also, something really, really good is they had their first positive assets of over 5 quarters for $32.7 billion over the last quarter. But their liabilities have gone up roughly $16 billion, so it offsets that 32.7 billion by 16 billion. But either way, you're still talking their assets are still up $16.5 billion. And then a very, very, very important number that I always stress, that big investors down to the retail investors always look for when investing into a company, is cash flow, positive cash flow. Their first positive cash flow after 5 quarters plus 47.6%, $28.67 billion of cash flow.
Yeah. It seems like
With
5 quarters seems to be the trend.
5 quarters of horrible, horrible numbers. That's why we were seeing an $83 Google, a $90 Google, a $95 Google. Then finally, this last earnings report, they killed it. Google went up, popped $20 a share, and now they're expecting a similar earnings report. As you can see here, I don't know if you can get the information, but maybe I'll send it to you right now. Current PE ratio and the TTM, like we always talk about, trailing 12 months PE ratio, price per earning ratio. Again, these are all a little bit higher on the side for tech companies, 28.78. Currently, the PE for FWD forward is has dropped 5.5 points to 23.25. So that means analysts are expecting a very, very good Google earnings report, and they have an expected earnings report of somewhere between the 23rd to the 27th of October, like most companies do for their third quarter of this year, generally released after hours. Some companies do them pre-market, most do them after hours. So, but yeah, in my opinion, 131 is a solid price. Not financial advice, but I wouldn't call it a current buy. I personally would wait for $120.
I mean, it did hit 129 today. So 120 is not far-fetched. But
I'd put it in the 120 range. 2-3 months ago, 4 months ago, you had even a way better buy if you bought it with all those really bad earnings reports. But one more earning good solid earnings report, and then I say we see $160. Wouldn't shock me to see $172 trillion Google.
Yeah,
which we have seen in the past. Google was 2.1 trillion, and it's currently $250 million off of that. But one more like good earnings report, the catalyst or something, and wouldn't shock me to see over a $2 trillion Google again. But let's see if analysts are right with this next earnings report based off of their PE ratio going forward.
It's so crazy. I'm on their income statement, and it's so crazy to see like gross profit $160.5 million. I'm just like, oh God. Imagine starting a company and it averages 160.5 per quarter. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's for a quarter. So multiply that times 4, and you're talking slightly over $640 million. So that's just north of 140 million and change of a half a trillion. So on a good year, in a very good year, because they've had 5 bad earnings reports, on a very good year, this company's raking in $8 trillion. Their net margin is 24.62%.
24? Yeah, I was about to ask because I was like, well, how much of that goes back?
So roughly 240,600,000 in change, multiplied times their overall gross, which was what, 640 million. So 240 times, what is that, times 3? I'm brain farting. No, 24%. So
Tax provision.
yeah, that would be what, 24 million, forgive me. 24.6 million times 6.4.
Right.
We can just edit that out. We can sound like geniuses. 62 times 6.4. And we're back. No, 157 million, roughly. About 160 million
Yeah.
net margin. So on $1 trillion a year, they make close to 240 million,
Yeah.
which is like a whole sports team every year. Well, a cheap one. Nowadays, they're like, well, if you're buying a big franchise, but
I'm gonna do some math. I'm gonna do some math and be like, what based off of the net income of X and YZ company, the SEC should start and regulatory bodies should start charging companies based off of their income, not off of minuscule fines. But not that I'm saying Google should be charged by the SEC, but just thinking about, the numbers that these type of companies are bringing in, and then how do you regulate a market based off of?
Yeah, they're making like 160 million net based off of their numbers, but again, those are really 5 really bad earnings reports. So imagine if they had 2 or 3 good ones.
I even if you take their bad ones and you use that as an average to kind of figure out, I can't imagine that much money.
Mhm.
I'm like,
Yeah,
that's
I mean, Google,
yeah.
yeah. But anywho, I mean, we're talking
Those are
about
just
top
numbers on
five,
a on a screen. Digital numbers on a screen.
top top 5 company in the world nowadays.
Yeah.
I mean, big tech runs the world. Tesla, Nvidia, Apple, Google,
Big tech runs
Microsoft.
the world right now, but not always.
Oh, it will.
Forever and
We live
ever.
in yeah. Nowadays,
Yeah, we're done now. It's done. You don't think something new? I think that's where the most innovation will be.
yeah,
So
technology, tech companies
besides
that are
medicine,
also
medicine,
yeah.
medicine and
These
tech team
companies
up.
could yeah. I mean, biotech companies, literally Bristol Myers Squibb.
Yeah, but Amazon's not a biotech.
They have enough money they can pivot. They're going into grocery stores. They used to sell books.
Wait a minute. I forgot about that. Google is going into grocery stores.
Amazon.
Oh, oh yeah, that's right. I don't ever
You made
use
an
the
Amazon
paid
reference.
pickup service.
Yeah. But they're gonna have walk-in like smart grocery stores where
I saw
there's
that they
no
were doing
checkout.
that a
You
couple
just
years ago, but they
walk
never.
out. Yeah, they're buying actual property now, but they're not telling or releasing any information. Well, as I know of in the last like 2 months or
They
so, they
have to
haven't released any.
think of a way
I
so
think
people don't shoplift. What are they gonna just have security there?
no, it's probably gonna be like one of those. No, it's gonna be like a smart store, literally where like you pull things off the shelf and it's like the
Even if you just wanna, you get charged when you leave the store.
yeah, probably when you leave and it like goes either with like your Apple Pay or whatever. You have an Amazon account. They're probably gonna figure out a way because they said they're gonna be like line free, no cashiers. You literally get your stuff. I don't know how else they're designing
That's
it.
what
I
I'm
don't know how
saying.
they're setting it up, but
That's what I'm thinking.
I'm sure that's why it's taking.
One eternity later.
So Google, let's finish this up.
Yeah, just finished Google.
So yeah,
Negative sentiment, but positive sentiment in the market. People are expecting big earnings reports, a second one to follow the last good one.
Mhm.
So I think we're a good earnings report away from $160 Google.
That's
What
160.
I'd wait for sub 120, 125 range personally. Not financial advice, just my personal opinion. But
We'll see what happens for
we'll see what
sure.
happens. People look out for Google's earnings reports after hours between the 24th and 27th. I'm sure people will have a better idea the closer we get, but that is the expected between that 3-day period after hours. Like I said, most companies do it after hours, some do it pre-market. But yeah, let's see what happens with this court trial, and maybe we'll do an update if anything does come about. But
What is
that
the
judge seems
implications for that? Sorry,
well, the
just
judge seems pretty adamant, and if he's one of those judges that wants to stick it to the uh, big corporation, and he does find out that they broke the law, you never know.
yeah. Does that mean that we get our search engines removed?
No, I mean, who knows what could happen? But I mean,
Imagine they get rid of the search engines and the government implants their own, or they cut a deal. They're like, we'll let you stay if you give us the information, kind of like mafia-esque style a shakeout.
that's what Mark Zuckerberg does already.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't realize that's what he was doing. I
Why do
thought
you
he was
think he
selling the
spent
information to.
$19 billion
Wait,
on
no,
WhatsApp?
I thought he was selling information to other companies, not the government.
He's doing both. That dude's just that dude's just doing whatever benefits him,
All right.
and that's why he's a billionaire.
Sounds about right.
But yeah, one other episode. Keep on the lookout. Baidu,
Baidu. That should be
Baidu,
interesting.
Baidu. Yeah, big company,
Yeah.
Chinese company.
Let's just close this out because I will
Well,
keep rambling and we'll have two.
yeah, we'll keep adding episodes for people who are watching this. Keep on the lookout for those episodes. But thank you for
Yeah.
watching the Google episode. Thanks for tuning in. Thank you
Thanks for
for your
tuning
time.
in and checking us out and listening to our
Please,
rambles and outbursts as always. Mostly my outbursts.
a
But
lot of
thanks.
rambles.
Thanks for we appreciate you. I appreciate you too. You put a lot of work into this.
Me?
Yeah, you.
Oh,
You
you,
at
you, the
home.
viewer,
And you at home. You the
and
viewer.
even you.
And you. Anyway, this is getting
And
weird.
anyways, all right, let's cut it. All right, thanks for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. And if you don't, that's okay too. Have a good morning, a good afternoon, and a good night. And we'll see you in the next one. Night.
Bye.
Got it.
Nice. Wait, got the app?
No, got it. Got it. It's recording. Zoom.
Okay, got it.
You started talking about like, oh, if they find them, it should be based off of how much money they have, and I'll. Okay.
Yeah, so Google grocery stores, Amazon walking out with products.
Amazon grocery stores. Google's not doing groceries.
Amazon grocery stores walking out with products, whatever.
Anyhow, we'll make an Amazon episode soon. We have never done an Amazon.
Really? Yeah, we have to.
We've never done Amazon. We've never done Apple. We've never done NVIDIA.
Oh, I guess we've got our next lineup besides
PayPal.
BAT.
PayPal. Brave /BAT.
Yeah.